But
And I sent you some stuff this morning too.
you did.
Yeah,
Let me look. Did you send it to Unity in the Olympics or to
I sent it
for
to,
today? Oh, you did. Well, let me get this. Let me get this downloaded. Our old 12 powers chart. Yeah, the chart, I pretty much have to say I've saved almost everything on my spiritual path, only because all of it's been like discoveries along the way. And I
yeah,
can always reflect back.
yes.
You sent me some questions. Oh, good questions. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I like the way they did the conversations with Michael Gott and Ellen Davenport, and Karen
Oh,
Drucker and the ministers up there. I was actually invited to go up there because I said I wanted to do a pilgrimage, and a lady named Denise called me back and told me, there really isn't anything going on in campus anymore. It's a lot of it's on Zoom. They have a bigger reach with Zoom. I liked it's a ritual, it's a tradition. I like
the
I don't want to
feeling.
say the feeling, the pomp and circumstance, the feeling of
I want to
being
feel
in
there.
that energy.
Yes. I,
I
I, I miss that being out here on the West Coast and not being able to drive over.
and I love the way they wove into the services. They're learning in the process of assembling that sacred service for that day. And the dialogues that happened afterwards, we're starting to do that at Unity in the Olympics. This is more of a dialogue today.
Yeah.
And as we talk about feeling, we didn't want to hurt, when Reverend Donna and I stayed together last recording and had some more discussions, and, she shared some things with me, I shared some things with her. World Day of Prayers happened. We hold that consciousness, but we started focusing on prayer again. And we're having a personal side dialogue of what's been going on in our lives. And we want more joy. And we were talking about our feelings. And one of the things, and we apologize, Reverend Eva, you are the joy master. In fact, I'm going to talk about you in just a minute. But it's kind of like when we all got together for our family reunion for my dad's celebration of life. We told the stories from different perspectives of how we got there and what we were doing and what we were experiencing, and we brought in a lot of emotion and sensation of what was going on that day, such as the big Wally story. We call that a big fish story, but it really did happen. But it happened within each of us so differently, because of our perspective. Or when I told the story about manifesting elephants, where dad did not believe that there was an elephant in Mrs. Shaw's garden, a baby elephant and a mama elephant close by, and wouldn't let me deliver the newspaper. And I was trying to lead it into the backyard to prove to everybody there really was an elephant. And then later on in life, I started not believing that any of these things happened. And so I keep references such as the beautiful documents that come through Unity. There's part of I want to say my archives of higher understanding. So when Ellen and Michael and everybody were talking the other day, I really wanted that experience we were talking about, that feeling that you got when you're on campus. And, like you told me when I went up there for my first my experience, where I met so many beautiful people. And I wanted to go, and then I wanted to go. And there was a desire to be there. And I was a little disappointed because things didn't manifest or materialize in the ways I wanted them to
Oh,
go. I planned ahead. I saved my money. I had a paycheck coming that day so that if, I couldn't stay with my niece, I could stay in Motel Room One, Moy, which is where I called it when I stayed there, because it centered in me, because I centered in the oneness, that bigger me, that bigger me. And all through Unity, you have done that with me. And we call it an experience. And I notice your questions all talk about experience and definitions of joy. And another thing you taught me is I can always Google it. So, in preparation for today, just like you prepared for today, I wanted to find the family cookbook because in it, it was brought up at Dad's celebration of life, mementos, because everybody brought their scrapbooks and those things that were separated when one transitioned. And so, it's a big old magical trunk when it opened. A big old magical trunk because it was filled with all the photos and all sorts of mementos from years gone by, years of where we grew together in the oneness, as a family, as a unit, in relationship. But to hear everybody's story from a different perspective. But one of the things we did is scanned everything so we could all have our archives, including family recipes. Remember, we started talking about recipes. And my mom, after we got off the phone, my mom in the cookbook, one of the first things she started with was a recipe for joy. Of course, there was also followed by a recipe for love and other things that she had found out there in the material world. The recipe for joy, Donna, is something I sent you this morning.
I did see that.
You did see that.
I did see that.
Yeah. And one of the things it said in there, handwritten on an old-fashioned recipe card, was the recipe for joy is 1 cup of love and friendliness, 1 pinch of gentle kindness and tenderness, stir with your heart lots of happiness. That's it. That's the recipe for joy. And she adapted that from Mother Goose. And I love the way that she inspires or brings forth emotion when she does things like that. And she still does as we go back and reflect. So in one of my healing classes, in one of my, I want to say, times that I spent with myself, I took a class with Reverend Jane.
Yes.
Yes, because I needed that in my spiritual growth. Because sometimes when we get wrapped up in the bigger picture of everything, like praying for others, we forget to take time for ourselves. We do. And you learn a whole new definition for things like healing and wholeness and well-being. And we use those greatly in our prayers where we have vested interest in those things we love. So you've given me the definition for almost everything on my spiritual path. What's your definition for joy?
Well, the first thing that I would do would be to go to the daily word, not daily, revealing word, the revealing word, one of the many books, but 2 of the reference books that I usually keep handy, and somehow they are not out of the box yet. So I have to go with my own definition of joy. And following the unity tradition, the metaphysical path, I find that there are at least 2 definitions or 2 perspectives to look at just about anything. There's the physical and the intellectual position that most of us are familiar with in our daily lives. And then there's the spiritual connection, the greater influence. So those are the things that I look for. I look for those 2 counterparts. I always say that it feels like inside this body, inside this mind, that there's 2 of us always having conversation. there's the intellectual side and there's the spiritual side. And, what do you listen to? Well, you listen to all of it and then you're confused, but at least for a while. But so for joy, I think most of us, when we think about joy or we experience joy, it's a feeling thing happening to me down here in about the second chakra, second or the third chakra, where the I am is, that part of me that is the I am. And so what is that? I'm thinking, well, that doesn't tell me. I think it's the wisdom, where in the definition it says that it's intuitive knowing, spiritual intuition, spiritual discernment. I always feel it there first, and then it moves out into other parts of my being. I feel it in my heart. One of the things that happened recently was I talked to my grandson about hugging the 12-year-old, and I asked, he's a big hugger. I don't know where he gets that. But I told him one day, I said, you hug like I do. You come in, you don't force it. You don't force the energy. You just come in and you kind of nestle in, and you just stand there and let the energy flow back and forth between the two of us. I said, I love that. I love that. And now every time that he hugs me that way.
Mm.
And I thought, if that's all I accomplish in this lifetime, to offer him that little bit of education on how to hug and hold and love somebody, that is amazing. That is amazing. That's joy. That's joy.
That is joy. That is joy. That sensation is always with us, and we can remember that because that's something we desire to hold on to. It's something we desire to hold on to. I loved how you said it was a feeling, and then you sent me documents about happiness. What's your definition of happiness then?
Happiness is not so different from joy. Joy goes deeper for me. When I start thinking about happiness and joy, I don't feel so much that I have to have earned the right to be happy. I can be happy. Happy is lighter. Happy is more free-flowing and not quite so deep. But joy goes way deep, goes down and touches my inside me. And sometimes I feel that my mind, body wants to feel like I deserve that, before I can accept it, if that makes sense. So it does and it doesn't make sense. That's what I feel. So it makes sense from that perspective. But do I really need to deserve it, or don't I just deserve it because I am here?
Yeah, that's the age-old question that we always ask ourselves. Am I worthy?
Yeah.
Am I worthy?
But
And
there's that hesitation always is there of, gosh, am I worthy of this?
so one of the greatest questions you asked the other day is why isn't joy one of the 12 powers?
Yeah.
Why isn't it? We have things on the 12 powers chart, such as love, that we always start with, and we talk about imagination and understanding, will, order, faith a lot, especially as we go in and out of different holidays and talk about what we believe underneath faith. But joy isn't on there. Life is. And when I was talking to you, I said, Joy comes with a sense of zeal and zest. It's kind of like you described when you're getting a hug from your grandchild, you with
Yeah.
anticipation. But it also, I discovered that joy I associate more with an action because it is action that I wanted to draw through me. And joy I also associate most of the time with people, and there's songs out there like give me great joy or you bring me joy. But when two or more get together, but one of the things I really appreciated in that article that you sent was it talks about marriage.
Yes.
Marriage, just like mixing two ingredients, it's a recipe. So we were talking about, what would you have to put together with all those wonderful powers in order to create a recipe for joy? And I'm not talking like the dishwashing soap, which I looked up. By the way, the primary ingredients, besides all the chemical additives, is water. Okay. But joy, what would you have to put together off of that intention chart of the 12 powers? What would you have to engage to get there? I was looking at that in different times in my life, like this period of having the two hips replaced and having another family member back to back transition with a child that was a family member. I was trying to, oh my gosh, conjugate, bring alive more joy to get through those processes. And in the discovery of all that, I ran across a wonderful article by you that triggered that thought about marriage. But I also ran across a beautiful article. Oh, what did I say her name was? But anyway, it sounded like something Reverend Eva would do. She when she would profess joy, make a mantra out of it, turn it into a chant, make it personable, and call it forward. And then I ran across this lovely document about joy, the recipe for joy, and it's just 10 steps. And like I said, it reminded me of Jane's class about, discovering personal well-being. And I want to rephrase that again or restate that again. Personal well-being as we go through all those experiences in life. And let's see what it's called Andrea's Notebook, a recipe for joy. And it's got 10 different ways to choose. Shar used to say, it starts with gratitude. Yeah, so just like my connection with God, I have low points. I have
Yeah.
low points. And then when I am not so great, or when I am really grateful, I have high points, but it's because I'm responding to what's occurring. So one of the things it says to do is to shift your focus and increase your mindfulness. Create a positive record or gratitude journal and do a little writing of all, strengthen your relationships, expressing that in writing, or it says in word, as I do for all those people in my life, such as you. You got to come up with something you're grateful for. So, what's your recipe for gratitude?
Well, seek God first. That's I don't remember the passage name and number where it is, but Jesus tells us to seek God first. If we're in a situation that we're stressed, if we need healing, if we need love, if we need whatever that we're not, as I say, in alignment with the divine energy, seek God first and just focus in on God energy, God attributes, all of the goodness. Be grateful. But go to God first. That's the number one.
Yeah, and you taught me to start every day in meditation and go there first. I like going for the answers first before I have the questions.
Yeah, well, I do too.
Sometimes revealed before, it's revealed as it's needed, and sometimes it's revealed beforehand, maybe just as Jane would say, in a meditative state, just looking at a divine nature.
Yeah, I want to just say for those of these wonderful people that are listening to us, that the class that you had with Jane was about self-care.
It was.
And
everything's to start with.
I don't know that I have seen you enjoy a class as much as you enjoyed that class. A lot of the classes that we take, Bible study, prayer, meditation, all of those things are really interesting, but just the enjoyment that I saw pass through you as you were practicing some of the techniques that she offered in that class and how to take care of yourself. And so that was the class. So anybody who has the opportunity to take that class, I encourage that. That was just watching you was joyful.
Well, I thank you. Well, I want to say my first unity hook, or what anchored me in unity, was when I took that meditation class. I took meditation first because that did teach you to relax. The other thing it did is it got me out of my head and down into my heart.
Right.
And then I like the other things that we've learned along the way, and it's been documented. And she points it out in her, top 10 is smile, even if you don't feel like it. It tells your brain to cheer up. And, we always profess a smile is good. It is good. And then it says other things like go outside and get into the light. That's a phrase we hear in more ways than one.
I like to take my smile to the grocery store. And as I walk through the grocery store, see the carts that have little kids in them, and then smile at them and, see how they respond. Some of them respond right away with a smile back, or they'll say something to their mom or dad, that lady smiled at me. And some of them are a little afraid, they kind of scrunch in for some comfort from their parent. So it's interesting, but it's fun to send that energy, send that smile to somebody little that's not verbal.
Well, depends on the grocery store that you're in. No, that's just a personal insight. And then the other thing it says is being with others or helping them manifest their dream or plan, as well as having a plan for yourself. And I think what's so important about that is the plan is aligning with your vision. And last week we talked so much about aligning. It's giving yourself time to align when you want to be with spirit.
Right.
And I always say, what is time? But every choice of word, every action, every moment, you get that choice, just like you get, as Eva said in one of her talks, the choice of joy. Choose joy. Everybody remember Eva and her wonderful talk, choose joy. And just like you had said, you go out and you be joy. You be joy with those children in the store, those children out in the universe. And you pick up on that energy and you allow it to be with you. You allow it to be with you because inside you remember, you reflect, you remember back to those days of when, where you could rejoice always, because everything coming into your awareness was a divine discovery. A divine discovery. So I want to share with you the little thing I thought we would do for today. Instead of a meditation today, It's a chant. It's a children's chant from Mother's Goose. And I thought it'd
Mother's,
be a great way to go back from Mother Goose,
oh,
a
okay.
great way to go back and rejoice always back to like when you were closer in that connection with God to spark it anew. Because as we go forward, we grow forward when we think of God first and think of that connection.
Give me a cup of love and friendliness. Throw in a little bit of tenderness. Stir it around with lots of happiness, 'cause that's the recipe for joy. Give it a pinch of glee and lots of sun. Plenty of harmony for everyone. All of us will agree to share the fun, 'cause that's the recipe for joy. We all have the makings of joy in our hearts. Just find the right ingredients right from the very start. If you've got hurt feelings from something you were called, just check your list of ingredients and take it with a grain of salt. Give it a pinch of glee and lots of sun. Plenty of harmony for everyone. All of us will agree to share the fun, 'cause that's the recipe. We'll tell ya that's the recipe. Believe us, that's the recipe for joy, joy, joy.
Your mother would be proud. This was my thought about spirit in that whole process. Spirit is consciousness, a form of energy. Spirit exists within me and within all living entities. It is the spark of my life. When I connect with spirit, I open myself, my heart, mind. As I open my heart, mind, I welcome spirit to join with me. In our oneness, I feel aligned with spirit energy. I experience joy, peace, health, love. I am one with all power and all goodness. I ran across some writings on unity or truthunity.net. And that article that I sent you by, and his name was George Leroy Dale.
Yes.
Yeah. And I found out in further reading that he had an early career as a chiropractor. And he was at some conference where he met Charles Fillmore. And Leroy had been presenting, and Charles was just so impressed with him that, they kind of purposefully ran into each other afterwards and talked for a long time. And Charles was impressed with his attitude and his manner of our relationship with our bodies. And he said, "You must come to Unity Village. You must come to Unity Village. We need your energy. We need your thought there. We need your enthusiasm." And so he did. He came to Unity Village, and he operated the Unity training program during the 1940s. So he ran the operation. He became a minister, and he taught a lot of the students that were going through the ministerial program. So he would start those classes with the Unity students each day with song and with an hour of exercise. And he would lead the students in the song and in the exercise. And then 3 times a day during class time or whenever, they would repeat affirmations, a set of affirmations 3 times a day. And, it's always amazing when I find these characters that have been a part of unity, and it's growing, and it's manifesting as a metaphysical organization, a way of reaching out and touching the world. And it's like, gosh, why didn't I ever meet him? Well, because he was probably gone by the time I got here.
Started with that discovery and exploration,
Yeah.
and got everything together in relationship.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll have more about him. I'm thinking we'll do some more research.
Well, I appreciate you because you bring me great joy.
Thank you.
And it's always fun to play with you. I love that. As my favorite 4-letter word besides love is play. And I thank you for being part of my everyday.
Yes. Yes.
So
And
this
thank you.
this is Tim from wherever I am saying goodbye for now.
And this is Donna from the trees in Issaquah.
Yay. Well, life goes on.
Yes.
Life grows on. And everything needs to, be trimmed back so that it could grow something bigger and better.
Yep.
All right. Love you.
I love you too.
All
And
right.
I love all of you guys in Port Angeles.
Yes, we do. We're here for you as your prayer chaplains, and just because we care, just like we said last week.
Yeah.
So bye for now.
Bye.